Hey everybody, welcome to the Secret History Living in Your Aquarium. How's everybody doing today? It's awesome to see you guys. We have a couple guests, and I had a Big Tank Hank, his channel. If you haven't checked it out, definitely check it out. He had me on his channel, and he's got a podcast as well. And that was really kind of him, and so I want to thank him for that. But also, today we want to talk about fish and prisons, and then we'll just hang out and chat. But there's several studies, and they all seem to indicate that keeping fish is very therapeutic for prisoners, and to the point where it reduces violence a whole lot. And a lot of people get frustrated at programs and rewarding prisoners and things like that. But due to his expertise in taking care of fish, plus also having worked in prisons, I wanted to talk to Mr. Big Tank Hank himself, and also then this morning we were talking about the subject matter, and it came up that Didi had also worked in prisons. So Miss Didi is also going to join us. So let me bring them up one by one. We'll say hi to them real quick and get kind of the introduction kind of thing going on. So hello, how's it going, man? How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. What's happening? What's happening? Thank you for having me on.
Yeah. So the podcast, how's that going?
Oh man, it's slow motion, but I've jumped it off. I'm getting a little bit of groundswell. What I did was just rip the audio from all
Yeah,
my previous live streams to put over there so that I'll have some substance over there for people to
yeah.
maybe to get a little traffic going. And here soon, I'm going to actually start putting its own dedicated content over there.
Okay, really cool. That's awesome, man. I that's got to be exciting too, you know.
Yeah,
It's a
very
whole new
much so.
frontier. Like I feel like learning the ins and outs of YouTube or Instagram or any platform is always a little bit tricky. So, you know, the whole new media of working towards podcasts, it's something that I've kind of, you know, been thinking like I basically got it set up also, but I didn't do it. A friend of mine, Rob's over at the Aquarium Guys podcast is setting up kind of a similar thing with like some of my episodes also. But I mean, that's a lot of work, isn't it? Like uploading all the audio and you know doing
Yes, yes. I mean, just your first few,
yeah.
because you're getting the intricacies together. But it gets pretty easy. You just have to pay attention to some of the small things. There's a few little things you don't want to leave out. You boom, you launch the show and it's like, oh man, I forgot to.
Oh yeah, yeah. For sure, for sure. Okay, that makes sense. So how's the fish room going lately? How's
Very
everything?
good.
Good.
Very good. I'm fry heavy. My red-eyed tree frog, he's living life over there, real king like. Yeah, I'm doing real good over in the fish room.
Right on. And when do you stream or when do your I mean do your podcast episodes also come out, you know, at a set time or whatever? I wanted you to definitely let people know where to find you too. So as we're hanging out, you know, if they want to go
Gotcha,
over there and subscribe, you know, they can do that.
gotcha. No, I stream normally. I just got a twist thrown at me though, but normally 10:30 Central Time on YouTube, PM that is. But I moved to a different department at my unit, so I have my schedule slides forward a day. Like let's say this week,
Oh man, yeah.
Wednesday is my Monday this week. So it'll
Yeah.
be Thursday next week. So I have 4 weeks of Fridays that I have to pre-record and then schedule to release on Friday. So again, the chat will be live, but the actual the actual content won't be. And then I'll have 4 weeks where I can come back and be my, my vibrant, interactive self. And
Yeah.
my podcast, I don't have any set schedule with it at this point because I'm not doing any content that's just for it.
Yeah.
But it's under the same name on Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts.
Right on.
But I'm kind of enjoying it. I had people, first of all, when I first started YouTube, people would talk about my voice. And
yeah,
as I grew doing my live streams and developed, a camera personality per se,
yeah,
I've had people say, man, the way you do your live stream would transfer over to podcasts, whereas people don't have to see you because of the energy you give. People won't actually have to see you. And
yeah,
I have friends, let's say Jack and Dan, they always catch since I stream so late, they always catch my live stream on replay while they're at the gym. So they're listening to it.
yeah, yeah.
And then Botanks, another YouTuber who I've had on a couple of times on my live stream, drive trucks. So for him, up his alley, now he can just, hey, I'm gonna put Hank on and check out what he has going on, listening. He don't have to worry about missing something, and he's driving that big old truck.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen comments so frequently that are like doing water changes but listening, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. And your voice is like, made for radio or whatever you want to call it format these days, podcasts, whatever. So right on. Well, that's exciting stuff. So part of what I wanted to talk about was kind of prison and how we could implement, like safely, like what that would look like kind of thing in a prison, or like logistically, like, because the glass itself on an aquarium I could see being probably an issue in some units, right? Like,
yes, most definitely. But
okay,
you could probably get away. You could get away with glass. Yeah. Due to the actual rules, they would probably use acrylic. But being that you would you'd use like a rewards type of program. With the tank scenario, your aquariums would be safeguarded and taken care of that much better by the particular individual who's actually in care of it at that point in time.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So, yeah, so that's the kind of stuff that I want to kind of chat with you. And Miss Didi's also worked there. So, spur of the moment, last minute, decided, hey, you could come on up too. It can, I'd like to hear too, experience from two different prisons too, because I'm sure different, or however many facilities each of you had worked at, but I'm sure it's different at different places too, like how
state to state, it could be like night and day.
Right. And federal versus state too, versus city is, jail versus prison versus the Fed. Yeah, that's all different too, right? So, okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for the little rundown there. I'm gonna bring Miss Didi up with us also right now, and let's get that going. Hey.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Miss Didi.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
You running around doing a million streams?
Just this morning, and I popped in on one or two, and I've done some replays. I
have
to take notes.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Kelly and Stephen are bound and determined to teach me how to keep plants.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Well, they're looking good. They're looking good behind you for sure.
It's getting there, but
right on.
With their help.
Right on. Well, so I basically wanted to. You probably heard what we were just saying a little bit. Yeah. Okay. So I wanted to kind of just chat about this whole subject. So before we do that, though, Who are you? Where can people find you? What are you into? That kind of thing, you know?
Well, I'm Didi from Didi's Fin Den, and normally you can catch me most days on the Aquatic Morning Show with Jess, most days. And I pop in here and there, and I also hit the Tennessee Fish Mafia on Sunday nights as part of the panel.
Is that where you're based, Tennessee?
No, I'm out of North Carolina,
Oh, okay.
but I won't leave them alone, so they kind of had to adopt me.
Honorary member, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, but I worked for the North Carolina prison system, the state prison system, for 30 years. Both
Wow.
at
Okay.
the first 15 in office administration type jobs, and the last 15 is corrections.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, that's a lot of time around prisoners.
Yeah.
So did
And
you
I
work?
worked at two different prisons too. So I worked at a minimum custody that was 300 inmates, and then I worked at a medium custody with 800 inmates.
Oh man, yeah. Wow. And I mean, I think people have uh different ideas of what prison looks like than the reality because it's so different in different places. But there's open bay dorms, there's pods, there's cells, there's lockdown, there's open camps that look like a summer camp almost, with a fence around it. So uh, I guess there's a lot of different varieties of that. So you've probably seen several different layouts, huh? I would assume, right?
Right.
Okay,
Well,
cool.
I actually visited a federal prison one time on an Air Force base, and there literally was lines in the sand. Don't go past this line.
Like for each group or for
And
you to visit?
for their prison yard, the whole compound. You
Oh,
just walk right in. I mean, it's like, okay,
wow.
don't go past this line right here. This is the fence, is the line in the dirt. Yeah,
Wow. That's
yeah.
crazy.
So it's,
So that was a military prison then? Is that what that was? Or yeah, okay, yeah. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, okay. So what kind of fish do you keep and what kind of content do you create? Just give folks a little bit of a little summary there. So if they want to come check you out, where can they find you and what is it that you do, Miss Didi? I mean, I'm sure most people probably have seen you all over different streams and stuff, but just in case they haven't, I wanted to introduce both of y'all. So
well, I can cut up here and there, but I try not to always be a cut up. But I am into freshwater, and my fish are kind of simple. I have dojo loaches. I also have some rainbows. I have the plecos, and my favorites are the electric blue cars.
oh
And
yeah.
I do have a tank full of snails, and so I have some bettas. You know, everybody's had crevenzas in their time that they spent any time in the fish world. Um, and some tetras and that kind of stuff. But my tanks are basically very community type.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't step much out of the box, and I have recently picked up an interest for the little shrimp, Caridina and Neocaridina.
Yeah.
So now
That's
I
what
have four shrimp tanks. I said I couldn't do any more, but now I have four more of those.
I know how that goes. I've fallen into that trap many a times where I just keep adding little tanks.
And I started YouTube after the virus hit.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I've even finding out about fish people on YouTube.
Sure, sure.
I typed a question, something probably about a betta. We had a 10-gallon aquarium, and KG Tropicals popped up. And so I watched it. Then, pretty soon I'm watching Corey, and then I actually watched you get fish for a birthday. You were going to Corey's for your birthday fish.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah.
The first video I saw of you, and then just one led to another. And it's like, oh my gosh, then it's 24/7 fish tube.
Yeah, it's addictive.
I've learned a lot. I mean, this is where I've learned everything that I know.
Right
That's
on.
good. That's good.
I mean, that's a testament to the community then, if you've got a tank that looks that nice behind you now and everything, that's awesome that uh And I mean, the community here is great too. So I mean,
Yes, yes.
I feel like I have a lot of real friends that, you know, if I ran into them in real life, I would obviously, you know, just click, wouldn't miss a beat. And yeah, so that's it is really special, especially about the community here. I feel like I'm kind of on the cusp as a channel of getting so large number wise that it may change more, but at this point there's always kind of a core, maybe a few hundred people that seem to be the ones in the chat and, you know, that are here, and I can keep track of them. So it's
Well,
kind
we
of
won't let you leave.
yeah,
Sorry, you're stuck.
exactly. So it's kind of cool. You know, over the it'll be coming up on 6 years in the fall. So I guess that's 5.5 years. Yeah. So working on the channel for me. So
But
it's
you deserve to grow. You've worked hard for
yeah.
everybody.
Well, thanks. It's been a slow and steady thing, which is good. I mean, it makes it so that the community that's here is all people that seem really engaged and really,
Yes.
you know, there it's a community, which is great. So I just
Organic.
yeah, totally. So I just saw that 3G did a super chat, and I wanted to acknowledge that. Thank you so much, 3G, and
Your 3G.
it's also in honor of Aquarium Cop, who passed away. He passed away a while ago now. Has it been a year already?
Oh yeah,
It
I'm
should be
sure.
about a year.
Yeah. So that I mean, yes, thank you for the super chat, and also, you know, it's a bummer that we don't have him around anymore, but he was definitely a ball of energy and someone real interesting that you know, it would have been interesting to have his input on this topic. So yeah,
I did not know him. He was in the chats when I would come in because I was very shy. But he
yeah,
would always acknowledge me and welcome me in. And then it wasn't long that he passed. So I never got
yeah,
to actually
Okay.
see him on the stream anywhere.
for sure. Yeah, it's just one of those out of the blue kind of things, but it was always kind of funny because you never saw his face or anything, and he
Yeah.
was doing streams a lot, you know, and talking, and he'd come up and stuff, but it'd always just be a badge, and he'd change it for every holiday or every little thing that was going on in his life. He had his little logo that he altered, and yeah, so I miss that guy. Cheers
Yeah.
to him. So, but so I wanted to talk to both of you guys, and well, I guess we'll kick it off talking about this where, you know, there's actually quite a few studies now that have, the first implementation of something similar that I saw was basically like giving dogs to prisoners and having them train seeing eye dogs or helper, you know, what do they call assistance animals, and you know, the results were pretty darn good in a lot of those studies, and I'm sure. So uh, in a prison, I mean, how does that work? Those programs. I mean, do you kind of look for a prisoner that's already probably shown that they can be trusted somewhat, and then you like reward them with being able to be part of the program, kind of thing, usually? Or have either of you guys seen those? I mean, I guess. I'm trying to think of a good way so that we don't all talk over each other. But I mean, I'm sure organically it'll work out. But I guess we'll ask. I'll ask Hank real quick first. But how have you seen any sort of like special programs? Like, how do those work in prisons? Just so we can get a
Well,
baseline.
for the most part, you'll have uh time in without getting in any kind of trouble, altercation, things of that nature will be the first thing that they will take into account.
Okay.
Um, how do they spend their time? You know, what's their custody level? You know,
Yeah.
which would still coincide with how long you've been in and hadn't gotten in trouble. It would still coincide, but you know, what's their custody level? Depending on where you are, they may associate it with other types of programs, and this would be a reward or an award. But for the most part, they'll have an application of sorts. You know, if they're interested in it, put in this paperwork, I-60 request form. I'm interested in doing this. You got a list, and then you'll have a board or something they'll probably vote on who do they think, okay, this individual, we're looking at his numbers, we're looking at how he interacts, we're looking at, and we'll give this group a chance. And for the most part, offenders want to have, that's what we call them, offenders, y'all.
Yeah.
People out there listening. It changes, convict, offender. It just depends on what upsets people and what don't upset people is what's used. But
you mean you can't call them screw ups?
Well, no, that wouldn't. Especially not today, not these times. You sure can.
Yeah.
But they want to have something that belongs to them. One that's theirs. This is mine individually. You're right here next to me, and you don't have this.
Yeah.
Or you're right here next to me, and this little group, we're set aside. We have this, but you don't have this. Then it gets more to the human side, something that needs them.
Yeah.
Something that needs them that's not going to take from them is very important. You may have individuals with children, and their kids out, they can't, do anything for their kids. Wives, whatever, whatever the case may be. Those are part of the motivating factors, in the success rate in these programs. I mean, then you have people who just showed up. God forbid, if I was to get locked up, I'm just an animal person.
Yeah.
I'd probably have a pet cockroach or
me too.
a lizard or something that's coming through, a mouse, So, but those things will be against the rules. They won't let you keep. They do it, but it's against the rules. You can actually be punished for keeping, those types of little critters. So for it to be legal in there, for them to do, I mean, it's something that builds self-esteem. It's so motivating to not be a bad actor. You're about to go home. This is going to also go towards if you're looking for a halfway house when you get out, or whatever it is that's going on. These things work for you in your paperwork also. But the nourishing side, the nourishing aspect of what it does for them, I mean, it's crazy. And I've seen just simple things, not even with the animals, just a task. Hey, you think you can handle this right here? You're asking this individual, man, hey, that means the world to them.
Right.
Attention, attention is not negative attention. Attention, make them feel like they're still part of mankind. They're still human beings. They're still, they're still worth something. They still mean something. All those things work together. I'm gonna stop right there because I'm pretty sure, we're gonna have enough to talk about. I'm gonna let Didi talk on it a little bit because I could keep going.
No, I mean, I really appreciate though the way all the things you brought up and the way you worded that. It's so important. And I mean, some people may think of these things, a lot of times I see education programs in prison and stuff, and I hear, I'll talk to people and they'll say like, well, I didn't get no free education. Like, why are we giving them one? And it's like, because statistically, these people come out of prison. And if they have nothing, like if they have, they're already kind of a scarlet letter of, you're a felon usually, or, you can't get a job here, or can't do this. What are you going to go back to doing? Crime? I mean, like it just kind of pushes people into a corner. It's hard enough when you don't have a driver's license and you have to get all new paperwork. And I mean, you're behind the curve with technology, 20 years or 5 years.
Whatever. Surprise.
Yeah,
you'd be surprised.
Well, I guess people get phones and stuff in there too, huh? Yeah. So, I mean, Didi, how long ago was it that you were like working with inmates? Like what?
I've been retired 3 years now.
Okay.
So it hasn't been that long.
Okay.
But,
yeah.
The last prison that I worked at, we had one of those dog training programs.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah. where a rescue organization would have rescue dogs that had to meet a certain criteria as far as friendliness and whatnot.
Sure.
We had 6 inmates, and each inmate had a backup because they have to go to appointments and they have to go to hearings and stuff. So there's 2 people for each dog.
Okay. Yeah.
And these dogs come from, it might be an 8-year-old dog that doesn't have any skills as far as people, but they will teach them sit, stay, whatever, basic obedience. And these dogs get to go to a little graduation. And of course, and the inmates that are training these dogs get to be involved with all this graduation and posing with the new owners. And all these animals are adopted straight from the prison. They walk out with their new owners on a leash, and all that happens. But these guys, maybe 100 people apply for their 12 positions.
Yeah.
And only 12 of them's going to get it. So, you have to stay on the right side of infractions. You have to be the kind of person that staff can work with.
Sure.
Because if you're, you may not have infractions, but if you're somebody that staff don't like to work with, they can't deal with you. You got to be somebody they can halfway depend on.
Right.
So those guys really, they love those animals, and that's their dog for those 6 weeks. They had a dog, and it reminded them of home, and it gave them something to do besides be miserable.
Yeah.
So those programs are great. And yes, we had weights and stuff like that. And everybody's like, well, I didn't get to work out all day. I have to work. Well, when you have 6 correctional officers supervising 800 inmates,
you got to keep them busy.
They got to work off steam.
Yeah.
They got to have some discipline, and lifting weights gives discipline if you build that up. So it's twofer. They get stronger, they work off stream, and they mentally help themselves.
Sure.
And they also have the education programs, which they may learn to use a computer. Some of them learn how to use a phone book. They've never used a phone book. We have those classes too out there for them. So, and then there's also tech trades, brick masonry, welding, diesel mechanics, those kinds of things. And these guys have to go back out into the system.
Yeah.
They try to get jobs. So, if you don't give them anything, like Hank said, they're going to be right back because there's nowhere to go. There just isn't.
Yeah. That's the other crazy thing is, in our country now, we have more people in different phases of the prison system than Russia and China combined, which is pretty crazy in my head, anyways. And they say that right now at any given time, I was reading, it said somewhere around 3 to 4%, depending on the year, of people are involved in some phase of whether it's probation, parole, in a unit or whatever, which seemed like extremely high, but it's really a separate world to a lot of people who may never have any contact with anyone in prison. They may kind of have that privileged life, whereas a lot of people say, I don't know anybody who hasn't been to prison, within that circle of people. And I happen to have 2 sides of my family, and one side happens to be one that has visited there a few times, and it's very different than the other side. And so I think a lot of people, I just think it's important to remember that we don't need to other all the prisoners that are they're not just warehoused people that aren't going to ever come back, or that don't have ties to communities. And so I think these programs are pretty important. So that's why I'm kind of interested in it. But I mean, who instigates these programs? I'm sure a university or someone with clout like that could always come in and try to start something. But I mean, do just normal everyday folks ever get any say in a prison? Was there a program in either one of your prisons, or a process to implement something like that? Like if they wanted to help with something like that?
It would be, for the most part, dealing with religion more than anything.
Okay. Yeah.
If there's outside volunteers, they kind of run that.
Sure.
scenario. You have the unit chaplain who is the head, and you have volunteers on that aspect, but that's the only thing really that outside people would have anything
Okay.
to say on.
Now,
Okay.
see, at my prison, we had college courses.
Oh, okay.
Community colleges would provide the instructors and the materials, and we provided the inmates. But they came on to the prisons and had classrooms set up there, and that's where they reported every day instead of going to the campus.
Well, yes, we have Lee College also, but I mean in the sense of they had a curriculum, and that's what it was. You know, how things were done once they got into the facility, they had no and would never have any ability to change it. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, I guess, I'm interested, quite frankly, in the low or medium security units. I feel like, uh, well, I guess I'd rather ask you guys. I mean, what kind of unit do you think this would have the most impact in if you were to get it implemented? I mean, do you think that the people getting ready to go home need this the most? Is it the people that have no hope of ever going home that are just problem uh, childs that would need it? I mean, what do you guys think this would be most useful for? I'm just
More
curious.
than one answer.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
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 I'm gonna let you touch it first, Didi.
Well, working for the medium custody, a lot of those are lifers, and a lot of them have life but parole like after 40 years, which a lot of them won't live to see parole probably. But the last prison I worked at had 100 and say 50 inmates in it in open bays. You had 30 some in each bay to sleep side by side on bunk beds, a common sitting area with one television and a TV schedule. That's what they've got inside. One microwave for all those inmates to heat up their snacks and whatnot. So, in that kind of environment, I would say that medium custody inmates could benefit because, the serenity of watching the fish in the water,
Yeah. Yeah.
not for necessarily just from a taking care of it standpoint, but for the benefits of I get to watch fish, and oh yes, I used to love to have a fish tank, and when I get out, I'm going to have another fish tank, and their little hopes and dreams that way. And plus, it helps lower blood pressure.
Yeah,
Because
I mean, they've done
there's
lots of
that.
studies, as you guys
Yeah,
are aware of, I'm sure. But yeah, 20% is how much on average a fish tank lowers your blood pressure, like just if you're in a doctor's office or something. So that's substantial, especially if you're talking about thousands of incidents or hundreds of incidents a year of little conflicts, little arguments, skirmishes, and actual violence too. Maybe that 20% makes a difference to just chill people out a little bit too. So, yeah.
but in the same token, a medium custody prison would be hard to have them in most setups because there's no safe place for them. That
Gotcha.
somebody else that didn't want anybody to enjoy it wouldn't destroy it.
That's what I was
That
wondering
kind of thing.
about. Yeah. So do you guys think that that would be a real issue, that somebody not in, I mean, you'd probably need to put it somewhere where you kind of go into that room to deal with it or something like that, I would assume. Because if somebody's not in the program, do you think they would take out their frustration on it? I mean, is that kind of the,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
yeah. You got individuals that again, I'm I'm at a it's medium, but there's a lot of geriatric age. You know, what I
Okay.
mean, you talking about people that they were G4, G5 when they first came in, who you wouldn't want to trust with anything,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they're almost minimum now because they're old men, and they may
Yeah.
not be going home. We have lifers at our facility, and it's a medium security facility, but you may have some younger people that may be um, DWI. That's what they're locked up for, but who knows what else they have been doing in life,
Right.
you know, and they may have this streak in them. And we have these tank tank scenarios, but it looks like a giant cell. How stereotypically you have the bars on the front with the one door, but it's huge with
Oh,
cubicles.
okay.
You know, no individual cells inside of a tank. They're cubicles. So you couldn't very well have a tank in there with 55 guys and two guys are taking care of this tank or one guy, because 10, there's 10 guys in there at least that's gonna want to drag that tank all over the, that fish tank all over the building and swallow the fish down,
Yeah.
with Coca-Cola. So
Yeah.
there you would have to actually set aside a place where, again, it would be an incentive thing. Set aside a place where you move these guys to.
Sure.
Now, touching on the beneficial side, people, let's say you can even look at maybe somewhat near a max type of facility with people that's not going home, people with behavioral issues, so on and
Yeah.
so forth. Again, using the same criteria to judge them for if they get to do it or not, but it may be a bigger impact on those guys, because a lot of times you're looking at mental instability. You're looking at things of that them not being able to play well with others because of mental issues. Not even, oh, I'm just an aggravated guy who didn't grow up well. Not even that. On the spectrum, things of that nature, where
Yeah.
these things will trigger things in them to calm them down and to see the incentive of it. Hey, I'm not worried about that boss who I've been aggravating every day. He comes in at this time.
Yeah.
I'm not even focused on him anymore because my fish is going to eat at this time. And structure is so important to those guys that they'll implement these schedules for these animals where, and nothing is going to break it. Nothing is going to get in the way of it. So, yes, they'll be distracted. They'll be calmer. So the whole scale, it could be very beneficial. Now, the short timers, minimum, if they don't have short time there, I don't know how much benefit they
Yeah.
would get from it, because, hey, they locked me up in here for this, and it's not my fault.
Yeah, they're all innocent.
Yeah, it's not my fault, and they're not going to be there long enough to ever have that aha moment where, hey, okay, maybe if I do some things differently.
Yeah.
So medium and up, depending on how you set the program up,
Yeah.
very, very beneficial in all of those types of facilities.
Right on. Yeah.
Just so they could put it where it would be protected.
Yes, away from the guy who he
Because
was on the list and didn't get
there
it.
is always the one person that gets the bad call, like, I don't want to be with you anymore. So then they take a chair in there and they go bust the one TV
Right.
that they
Yeah.
have. Now they have to go put him somewhere to keep him from getting killed, because now the other 35 don't have
Right.
TV for 2 to 3 weeks, depending on when another TV will show up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know that in Washington, they used to have microwaves, but now in anything but minimum, they don't.
Yeah, we don't
And
either like that.
yeah, because microwaves, people were putting baby oil and shampoo and stuff in there, and getting it to boil and then throwing it on other people. And yeah, so I guess I mean that's the thing when I mean this could be a whole other side tangent, but ways to kill someone with an aquarium, so
yeah,
I
that
mean,
was, yeah, it could become a thing. Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah.
I mean that's another real thing that I guess you'd have to worry about. I mean, like Dragonstone, maybe not the best thing to put in an aquarium if they're working in there, because they could bust off a piece and do something with it, so I guess there'd be a lot of considerations in the higher levels for sure, but even on any level, I could see there being some issues.
Yeah.
So I was just curious, like what issues do you guys, from your experience, and I bet you guys each might see different things, especially because different time periods, different places, but I mean, what would you need to not have that a normal aquarium does have? We were joking about the glass in the aquarium itself, but I mean, maybe acrylic, like a thick acrylic aquarium, wouldn't be a bad idea. And if it's in its own room, it's a special program, and there's a camera and a guard or something, maybe that kind of limits some of the, I don't know, fallout that could happen from it. But I mean, they give them a knife in the kitchen, right? It's just attached to something.
Usually they're tethered.
Yeah, that's a whole situation. Because I was in food service until recently, and I was in food service for 8 years.
Oh man!
So yeah, you.
So
you'd be surprised the things that they use. But I mean, we never had any issues. Let me knock on some wood there. But,
yeah.
The only weapon I've ever seen used in the kitchen was the great big old oar-looking paddle.
Yep.
Oh
like
yeah.
A boat oar. One smacked another one side the head with one of those instead of a knife or anything. But he did do some damage.
Yeah.
But now one thing I could see that they could not have or could be a potential problem is a heater, just by the shape of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's the way it is.
Yeah.
And then there's glass on top of that. So.
And I mean something as simple as any components that could be taken out of that heater to make a tattoo gun or anything.
Right. Yeah.
To heat a sandwich up using the bump and hitting touching electrodes. That heater just may never ever stay, in working condition because,
Right.
Well, the air pump with the little motor.
That would be perfect. Yeah, that would be perfect for the tattoo. And yes, that one. That's perfect.
Literally, yeah. The impeller also out of a hang off the back filter is another thing that like you can make a little motor for a tattoo machine. I mean, I've tattooed for 15 years, so I've built a few homemade things just for fun, but also when I started, I knew people who were teaching me, and they all pretty much got their start in prison, some, in one way or another. But yeah, I mean, the Walkman was the like coveted thing back in the day, but yeah, so that would be interesting. I wonder if you would just need to lock it down or have supervision.
And a Bantoid.
Yeah.
And a Bantoid.
Yeah. Man.
You could get rid of a whole lot of stuff if you just have paradise fish.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, you could do that, and meteor minnows, and actually a lot of lake inlay species are pretty safe in cold water too. Even CPDs can withstand pretty as long as the facility had climate control to some degree, I guess. You don't want it 150 degrees or Florida prisons, I hear, are like the worst as far as no AC in any of them for anything, and that's Florida, so
yeah,
it's crazy.
We had that.
It's a gravy jug with an aquarium for all the things that could be made from that we don't even think about.
Yeah. That's kind of crazy. It's kind of a crazy issue. I mean, so I also wanted to just recognize real quick that Bro Bear Tofu says, much love to this wonderful community. Thank you. $1.99 super chat, and thank you. And then Patrick Hardy also just did a $1.99 super sticker. So
Patrick Hardy,
appreciate that. Yeah, right on. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. So yeah, this when they implemented it, the thing that I couldn't find a lot of info on is it seems like there's been probably half a dozen studies that I've read that have done this, but they don't really go into the details about like, this was how the aquarium was set up. This is what we did. And, I feel like even aquascaping could be, really therapeutic.
Yeah.
And, most people use scissors, but I use my thumb and my finger just to cut plants. So, I mean, you could get around that, I'm sure, with like the thing you use to cut fishing line, like the little clipper thing. You might be able to come up with some
nail
little,
clippers.
yeah.
They sell some of those in commissary, or at least, well, they
Yeah,
used to. I'm
hygiene
not sure if they
items.
still do, but
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, and then I guess it would be pretty apparent if someone busted off a piece of the aquarium to make a weapon with that. So, but maybe rimless would be better than having that plastic rim on there. I don't know.
now
Heck, you
something
saw,
else. Go ahead.
what I was going to touch on was the frustration level that could come. You know how it is when things go bad in your tanks?
Oh yeah,
Now you got to go buy this, you got to go buy that, you got to go pick up this kind of meds or whatever you need to do. They don't have access to that stuff. Or
yeah,
they've got to convey that to somebody who has no idea what they're telling them what they need.
or
yeah,
wouldn't care.
Or
yeah,
yeah, no, that's true too. Now the frustration level, a lot of people do not have good skills as far as
yeah,
handling frustrations. That's another thing that would have to be a criteria as far as being
Yes.
selected to be the people to do that. Because I mean, it's even hard for me. I've even thought like
oh yeah,
I'm just gonna shut them down. You know,
oh
the
yeah. I
time
think
my tank crashed. It's like even though I knew I wasn't, but you know, it felt good to say it for that given moment.
I think we've all been there though. When you come to a tank and like three or four plecos are dead, or a bunch of something's just, and you have no idea what did it at first, and you're just, man, I quit. Like yeah, it's
All of your chinoides, betters, fried,
oh
mothers, fathers. Yeah, that happened to me. All of them. Oh,
oh that's rough.
and
Yeah.
everything else was still alive. Oh man. Oh.
Oh yeah, that's real frustrating. Knight Rider says, I think the biggest risk is prisoners wilding out and just break the tank. The budget could be endless. I mean, they could break a TV though and take glass. So there's boxes and things or rooms you could put that in. The bummer part is I feel like an aquarium would probably help everyone in a unit. Maybe you could get bulletproof glass and put it behind a wall and then have the but you'd have to have a special setup for that already, that would work.
There's plexiglass and acrylic everywhere in our unit.
Okay. So like I mean you could put like for instance, you could put the air pump or something in an acrylic box with a lock on it or something like
Yeah, you
that,
have
right?
to.
So okay, yeah, okay.
That's how they have some TVs, because first off, you want to make the outside casing clear so you can see if there's anything stashed in it.
Right.
And a lot of the things that they have, radios, TVs, are already encased inside of clear plastic. So that's what they would do anyway. That would probably be the first thing that they realized that they needed to do, was to
Right. Well,
encase the air pump or whatever in the clear plastic.
so I guess I mean that comes with the next thing, I guess. The tank would be a place where people would be wanting to stash stuff probably too. So,
Could be.
yeah. Huh. So I
And see
guess
what they would do. What they would do is, you have your tool check in, check out
okay.
scenario. Everything, the fish food, everything would be in a room, check in, check it out, that they need to use for that day or whatever, for that time period, check back in. And they're going to be supervised. And for them to have that program, there's no possible way it would ever be anywhere close to a general population type of scenario. I mean, it wouldn't even be close.
Right.
It would always be a classroom per se type of setting, especially for an aquarium. There would always be that type of scenario. They would limit the amount of people coming in, period. So, and me not even experiencing it, just the time that I've spent working in the department that I work in, I just automatically know
Yeah.
how they
Yeah.
would do it. You
Yeah.
know, and you'd be living somewhere else, and you'd have that time. We have what you call a piddling shop, a craft shop. You have offenders that make stuff, out of leather, out of wood, just different things. Again, they will judge by certain criteria, and then you only have those few guys or whatever at only a certain time of day, come in to a secured area, everything coming in, everything coming out, supervised. Now, within that, you still have those individuals who fit every criteria, but yet still are institutionally minded. And they
Yeah.
always still will be trying to do something
Yeah.
that's, you know, so it's one of those things where you could do it. You just have to always be mindful, you know.
Yeah.
But it could be done. It still could be done.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's interesting. I mean, I guess I was reading. Oh, and by the way, I just saw this roll in. J4 Flower Orange, thank you so incredibly much, man. Uh, $50 super sticker. I didn't even know you could do a super sticker for
Hey,
that. Wow,
all
thank
right,
you.
all right.
Thank you so much. That is very, very kind. T-Bone, another super sticker. T-Bone down under. Good to see you, man.
TBZ, what's going on, T-Bone?
Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Yeah. Uh, I never know what to say. I mean, like, I think about it for hours when this stuff happens, you know, when any super chat, honestly, I think about. And yeah, it's just, it really moves me. You know, it means a
Yeah,
lot to me because I try to do, you know, I try to put as much time as I can into the channel. And so I really, really do appreciate that, you know. And I know everybody works so hard for the money, you know. Nothing comes easy around the world anywhere, you know, with money.
right.
But
You have
thank
to,
you guys. So thank you for the super chats, everyone. And so I guess the studies that I saw, you know, one of the interesting things was that the one violent act, which was a stabbing, in one of the studies I was reading about, was because of they took turns on days who got to take care of the tank. And in one of the studies, they had done it, I think it was for 6 months. It was just, they were breeding Gambusia for mosquito control in, I think it was Angola prison down in Louisiana. And they're a prison that does, you know, all their own farming. Well, they try to do, you know, they try to do as much as they can farming, and they're looking at doing aquaculture. So they're looking at keeping tilapia. They've got like a farm. They've got milking cows. They've got all sorts of stuff trying to both sell some sort of product, you know, instead of making license plates, I guess, you know, whatever. They're making artisan cheese. I don't know what, but probably not. Prison cheese doesn't sound too appealing, but
it won't be real cheese.
yeah.
Uh,
But
Yellow, that's it.
yeah, but yeah, that's definitely, and that's another prison that's been notoriously brutal. And
yes, yes. That's the first thing I thought of. I was like, Angola? They tried the fish tank thing there.
yeah,
I know they do the dogs I think in Angola also. They do that
okay,
in Louisiana quite a bit. But yeah, the fish tank, yeah, that was
yeah. I guess I think it's because there's some relationship with a university and them, you know, where they implement different things, but they have a lot of people in Louisiana in prison, and you know, they have a huge number of people, and for a long time they didn't even have like basic refugee level, you know, conditions. And like lately they've been smuggling video out of there where they show like sewer flooding cell blocks, and some of those prisons are like 150 years old, 100, you know, 130 years old now, whatever. um, it's pretty gnarly in some places versus others where, you know, it's brand new facility, spent all this money. So I mean, I guess, did either one of you guys work at a private institute that was privately owned or anything?
no.
Okay. Because I mean, I know like in Oklahoma, in the Midwest, really, like they take care of a lot of California's prisoners in privately owned.
Those aren't prisons.
Yeah.
North Carolina used some of those too back in
Oh,
the day, and inmates loved to go there.
yeah, those aren't prisons, man.
Yeah.
So
Now, I will have to say at that last prison I was at, we had a special area of instruction for inmates that were 70 or less for IQ,
oh wow, yeah.
where they had a sewing, uh, taught them how to do like a little bit of upholstery, quilting, that kind of thing, build little bird houses with the wood shop. They weren't allowed to be with the regular population with the tools, and they were with different kinds of instructors. But at some point, some instructor must have had an interest in fish ponds outside.
Okay.
And they had built a real nice pond out in the yard. Of course, they had a horticulture class, so there's banana trees and 12-foot high agave plants. And yeah,
Wow, that's
agave in the
cool.
prison. But they had all this stuff, and somebody had given some koi, and they had actual koi in their pond. And the inmates loved to go through there because when you checked in that little specific area, everybody had to walk past that koi pond. And so it was a good setting. It was
Yeah,
peaceful, and you just felt it when you walked through.
that's cool.
Now you're gonna lose it after you get through, but when you first walk in, and all these plants and the water and the little waterfall they had, and you could see the koi down there. It was like, oh my gosh, this is so nice. So somebody taught them how to build that and worked with them to build that, and so that was there, and it still is there to this day. Even though those old instructors are not there anymore, they're still going.
That's really cool. Yeah, that is really cool. Yeah, Patrick Hardy says those prisons in the Midwest, yeah, those are money making machines. Yeah, I know. I could go on a rant about that system another day, but we'll keep it on the rails tonight.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, I guess are there any other? I feel like we've kind of talked about this now, and we can just kind of hang out for a little bit if you guys want. But what are there any other thoughts that either one of you have that kind of pop up that are like, this would be an issue or this could be a good idea? Anything floating around either one of your heads that you want to throw mention about if people were to implement this somewhere? I honestly I want to lobby or push for this to be a regular thing locally. We had um, a chaplain at our prison nearest to Seattle, the one nearest to city limits. That's a medium security, and he actually asked my old fish store if we would donate a tank, and if we would come set something up, get it going. And my store owner at the time was afraid to go, and I was like, I'll go, and he's like, no, we're not doing it. And the project died right then, and that was a bummer. Yeah, he was afraid to go set up the tank even with an escort or whatever, I guess. I don't know. So but yeah, so I was just curious if you had any thoughts on implementing that, any other thoughts on anything we've talked about before we kind of just chat about life a little bit more.
Well, we actually have a pond in the front uh, uh, intake area of our facility that's just out there. It's running. It's always running. When I first started there back in 2014, there were fish in it. But I wasn't doing any of this,
Yeah.
Whereas like now, you saying this, I walk by it every day, and it's like, man, there's still no fish in there. I might myself,
Yeah.
bring it up to the warden. Hey, warden, you kind of have a guy here,
Yeah.
that does this. You have your orderlies who work out there in the front. You have the outside crew that does grass and all of that. And the guy who's over those guys that maintain the grounds and grow it. They also have a herb garden and things of that nature. Maybe I could be a part of training them to take care of,
Yeah.
fish in the pond.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. I mean, and if nothing else too, I mean, I know a lot of prisons want to find sustainable ways, things to that help the prison out money wise, like that goes back into the prison. So, I mean, tilapia are another fish that, even though that's not quite the same as keeping fish for a relaxing reason, aquaculture of raising fish for, a food for a special occasion or whatever, that could be meaningful too, teaching those systems like permaculture and aquaculture. So, yeah.
Now, another benefit I could see that it wouldn't seem fair would be to have like an aquarium in the main administration building where the visitors come through, and you, like you said, you have these honor grades. There's always 6 or 8 honor grades, even on a medium custody camp, that actually go outside of the fence without supervision, like
Yeah.
eyeball. They just have to be checked on every half an hour or something like that, where they could actually maintain this, and it'd be like, hey, this is our prison aquarium that the guys actually take care of, even though it has to be outside the fence. But all the family that comes to visit them and all that can also see their aquarium. That's
Oh,
one
yeah.
way to have one. Um, it's not really fair to the other 700 some inmates in the back that don't get to see it, but that one person or 2 people that work down there take a lot of pride in that, because
Yeah.
people would ooh and ah over it all the time,
Yeah.
staff and visitors.
Yeah. I mean, especially if you could, show your family that you made something in there where you have so little agency,
Or even
Yeah.
if they had a competition between each prison, have a photo contest just like you did for
Yeah.
occupation or whatever. That would be a lot of pride in something like that, to have that.
Yeah. You could give each car a different tank, and I don't know. Do they have cars over there on the East Coast too?
Cars.
Yeah, the groups of prisoners, like that's how they organize in our state. They call them cars. So there's like a white car, there's a black car, all over like California, Oregon, Washington, Idaho.
We
Uh,
have colored clothes.
oh, okay. Like I
If
mean,
you're
like
in greens, that means you're minimum custody. If you're in browns, you're higher up.
yeah, I
I
just mean
think
like
white's for something else.
the prisoners themselves is what I'm talking about. Like there's the they're
Yeah.
very segregated on the West Coast, like by race, which is a bummer.
Oh yeah,
And
Oh no, we're not. No.
and they're trying real hard to get rid of that. But California prisons specifically are like brutally segregated, even in low custody and stuff.
and that's more so because that's how they govern themselves.
Yes, yeah, totally,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's so it's kind of like you have to do it,
yeah,
because
yeah,
if not, you're looking at a little carnage that might ensue.
yeah, yeah. Rico Stan, I'm not singing today. I see you and what you're trying to do with
Rico.
friend of the devil is a friend of mine. Yeah, yeah. How's it going,
Yes,
Rico?
in North Carolina, you are housed by your job assignments. So if you're
Okay.
assigned to road squad, all of you's going to live in there no matter what.
Okay, yeah, yeah. That's kind of funny to me, I guess, in a weird way, is that like the Southeast is not segregated, and then California prisoners organize themselves in a
Yeah,
segregated way. Like
you would think not, like in the South.
yeah,
Everybody will migrate. Hey man, I'm going to the West Coast, man. It's man, everybody loves everybody. It's but the prison system is like no, no,
yeah,
we're
yeah,
not gonna do it.
yeah. I mean, the prison system in California is real brutal, even if you know. I guess it's so big, and it's so there's a lot of street gangs and things where their leaders are all in there, and
Yeah,
they
and
need to.
it's brutal. It's brutal more so because of the actual population. Because when you first said it, there was a time where people came from overseas to tour Texas prisons.
Yeah.
You know, hey, yeah, you know, if you want to talk about brutal as far as the institution itself,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Florida just got in trouble again too. Mississippi, Florida, and Louisiana, I've seen, have all gotten in trouble recently, because of guards killing inmates, or locking them outside in the cold, whatever, different bad things.
Yeah, yeah.
It can happen, you know.
Yeah, it'd be hard to
Well,
deal with those people all day in and out, and yeah, I could see where
well,
you get
everybody
frustrated.
that's a predator is not always on the inside.
Right, right,
You have the same kind of people that take advantage of other people that just haven't got caught yet.
right, right. Well, and
I,
Some of them here and there.
I have a quote that I tell my guys that would work for me at the unit.
yeah,
I heard him before I heard sirens and handcuffs.
yeah,
That was my saving grace. I mean, no, not that I was this
yeah,
super bad guy, but I could have easily turned left.
Yeah, anybody could.
I grew up with people that
yeah,
that did stuff and are still doing these things.
yeah,
And thank goodness,
yeah,
for me that I didn't, that thing. Hey,
yeah,
okay, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do that. I could be 50, about to be 50 next week, and my new grandbaby, my kids are doing well. I could get a chance to see that, But with that blessing for me, I use that in the facilities. I mean, the same person you see on here.
yeah,
That's who I am there. I have some guys who like, man, you're like, they say, man, you're like you're like the dad here. We sometimes we get on your nerves. You're gonna always be fair, even though you get on us. You have to get on us sometimes. They can tell when it's from the heart.
yeah,
Yeah. They
yeah.
can
If
tell when
you're
it's from the
fake,
heart.
they can. I mean, people can feel fakeness, no matter whether they're educated or whatever. Whether they're business professionals, prisoners, educated, rich, poor. People know real. You know what I mean? You got that gut
And you can be
instinct.
real and mean, but as long as they know you're real, that's still okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah. Definitely. Yeah. I mean, yeah. That's a good point. I mean, I definitely, for me, when I was 14, I was charged with 7 felonies in a school zone, and I got a conspiracy, which in our state we have state RICO cases, which are different than like a federal mobster RICO case. But it basically just means that a couple people were planning on committing a crime to further one another's money. And I was 14, and somebody handed me an Adderall, like Ritalin, and said, "Take this before the test." I said, "Okay." And it was a senior, I was a freshman, and I put it in my pocket, walked to class. Cop came and got me in class and said, "I heard that, a lot of people were given some pills earlier today, and we heard your name. So if you hand it over, if you've got something, it'll go a lot easier for you." So I said, "Okay, all right, I'm sorry." And I put my hand out, handed it to him, get a handcuff on my hand right there, arm twisted behind my back. And they arrested like 38 kids that day, because they basically shook down the whole school after a couple kids got caught doing something. And then they just happened to find all sorts of other stuff that was going on when they started looking in everyone's lockers and backpacks and stuff. So it was actually big news all over the state at the time, all over the news and stuff, when it happened. But yeah, so I mean, I saw that though, and I had good grades at the time. I had dyed hair, and I was kind of into punk music and stuff like that. But I before court, I fixed myself up, made myself look like a little nerd, and I did some volunteer work before I even got to court. Went to juvie for a little bit, just for a few days, and then got out. But you know, I have friends who literally that experience, they didn't have parents that were in their life really much at all, or they're working all the time or whatever. And that same event, whereas I got off with a warning until I was 18, basically, because that was the only thing I did at the time. Um, they're in the prison system now, you know? So I've always remembered how easy it is, especially if you're not a white male. I mean, I'm going to say that. Some people may not agree with that opinion, but statistically, sorry, that's the facts. So you can feel a certain way about how we got here, but yeah, I mean, I had a lot of friends.
Court-appointed attorneys.
Yes, exactly.
And it doesn't matter what you are. If you have a court-appointed attorney, you're going to
well, yeah, exactly. I mean, and yeah, and I say that as obviously there's plenty of underprivileged people of every color that are, you know, in the same boat. So I don't mean anything by that, but there definitely
yes,
has
it is
been,
stacked a different way.
but it has been stacked. Yeah, it has been stacked a different way. And when, you know, one study that I was recently reading about too that was super interesting was that they said that African American judges in the inner city were harder on African American kids than like a white judge would be on African American kids.
Yes, you know? And I could break that one down also.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, go for it.
Okay, a lot of times what happens in that scenario is in our community.
Sure.
When you're afforded some of the better things in life.
Sure.
Because of some of the hardships and the way the decks happen to be stacked, you don't want to be who you are.
Yeah.
And the higher you go, the less you want to identify with who you are. And I'm not saying who you are as in, oh, you're bad because you this. No, I mean just culturally, ethnically.
Sure.
And you buy into stereotypes and you become better than. And it's like, I'm going to teach you a lesson inadvertently, because it's not always intentional. I worked up to this point in bootstraps. I pulled them up.
Yeah.
And look at you.
Yeah.
I tell you what, this is what I'm going to do. And again, nobody has to agree with facts, but that doesn't change them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like a tough love type thing.
Yes. And it is. I mean, if people could reset and say, hey, I'm actually in a position where I can say, come here. Let me look into your background. Let me go talk to your people, your family, teachers, whatever.
Yeah.
Let's see what we can do to steer you.
Right.
Rather than just hiding you.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, that was for sure. I mean, I almost became a lawyer in school. That's what I was wanting to do. And then I did a summer working in a law firm, and it was awful. Like working for my girlfriend's father, who owned a big law firm. It was awful. So, you know, I saw the paperwork they had to do and stuff, and I was like, this doesn't seem as fun. But, you know, growing up, I thought I wanted to be a public defender because of how that all unfolded with me. And I saw how privileged I was, and how, I mean, the other thing is, you know, you get stopped by the cops for speeding, and if you got a record, oh, you're getting shaken down. You know what I mean? If you don't, be on your way, and that's the end of it. But so once you're in that system, it snowballs, and a lot of people, you know, I saw in college a lot of middle class folks partying, smoking pot before it was legal, and, you know, doing whatever. And in some states, I mean, that's 10 years in prison, you know. So
yeah,
it's kind of crazy to think about those things. But
you have a lot of things that have to work together. I'm gonna paint a picture for you. First of all, I'm gonna touch on court appointments make such little money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They sometimes end up in positions where it's like, man, I need to stack my books. Let me move these people on out. And the give a leaves. That can happen in anything. But
Yeah.
that's what happens to a lot of them.
Yeah.
Now, let me paint a quick picture for you. A lot of people in the chats of the stream know I used to ride bulls. I was a cowboy.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
with that, I'm still black. So there's probably wasn't a lot of other cowboys necessarily around me. So I grew up kind of straddling the fence on things.
Sure.
I had a lot of old pickup trucks. I still have cowboy hats, Wranglers, jeans right now. I used to ride around in my old pickup truck underage with a cooler in my front seat, leaning on it. Beer is in this cooler.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
No tent on my windows. I'm rolling. Never pulled over. Got pulled over with a friend of mine. He was white also. Another time, I'm in a passenger seat, cooler. He's driving. They take him out. Oh, they talking bad to him back there. They doing all this. They doing all that. Came to my passenger window, looked in at me, said nothing. They were getting on him. We leave. That's another scenario. Now, later on in life, I had a 1990 Lincoln Town Car, silver, with black leather interior, limo tent, 13-inch Supreme wheels. For those who don't know, I'm painting y'all up. I'm painting y'all a lowrider, essay Hispanic type of vehicle here. I'm gonna hit all stereotypes for you. I had my little tires, little wheels, nice, clean car for the culture that I was, enjoying.
Yes.
No alcohol in my car, no nothing, just me in this car. My license plate, I didn't have it on the front because, hey, my car's nice. Put it in your window where they can see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every time this car hit the highway,
Yeah.
woo! Oh, hands out the window. Hey, sir, where you headed? Painting a picture of same guy, but I was non-threatening as a cowboy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Non-threatening. I could have crashed up, killed everybody on the highway because I'm drinking and driving and everything, in my young life.
Sure. Yeah.
But here I was, a grown man in my nice-looking lowrider car that I just happened to like it because of the culture.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pulled over every time they saw me.
Yeah. And I know there's dynamics at play that I couldn't begin to understand firsthand, but having long hair, a beard, and tie-dye, same thing where I creep by the police and woo!
Yes.
Whereas if I have short hair, you have a good day, sir,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they have names for you,
Yes, exactly. Well, guys, I really want to thank you. I think we're probably going to wrap it up here, but you are both welcome back to the show anytime. In fact, I would love to have either one of you and both of you back on your own. And I know I'd actually invited Hank originally one-on-one, and then I got this whole prison fish tank thing in my head. So I owe you another coming on here, and we can just talk about your channel and the way you keep fish and stuff, and same for you too, Didi. But I just thought, man, we've got two well-informed fish keepers, two people that have worked in prisons. I gotta have them both their opinions. I love both you guys,
Gotcha.
and so I wanted to use the resources that are in this community. So thank you so much for coming on, especially Didi spur of the moment, and yeah, thank you guys, and especially
my pleasure.
Your schedule's all hectic and everything.
It's crazy right about now.
So I'm sorry about that, but I'll add your links usually when the video, when it uploads or whatever in an hour after we're done or whatever. I'll make sure to put your links to both your channels in there and everything. Right now, I've just got your names on there. I think is all I left on there. But is there anywhere else or anything else that first Hank and then Didi, any other things you got going on or stuff planned for the channel that you would like folks to know about, or content you're working on lately that they can come over to your YouTube channel and check out? Anything like that that you want to shout out? You're more than welcome to.
Well, on the live stream and slash podcast side, I'm starting to implement other what do you say? I'm cross genre streaming or whatever. I'm starting to implement. I did my first. Should I? Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and tell it. My first
Spill the beans.
ball python.
Oh,
Geared live stream, which is coming this Friday. And if you notice the name of my channel is Big Tank Hank. No aquatics on that.
yeah.
Because I've owned everything.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Growing up, I've had alligators in the house, Nile monitors, turtles, frogs, skeets, crickets, oh man, you name it. I've had everything. So I want to diversify my portfolio. And I know there's more people, even in fish, in fish fam and in the fish streams that have other things.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I've found out some stuff like recently. I've been sitting in chats, on other stuff. And I'm like, man, I didn't even know this. I think some other people need to see this. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Trust me, y'all. When I say I've found some stuff that's like, oh my God, how long have y'all been doing this?
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm gonna start sprinkling all of that. I'm not getting away from my fish by any means, but I'm gonna start sprinkling this other stuff in. I mean, I got a red-eyed tree frog over there he's been chilling and he's wondering why I haven't done, stuff for other animals.
Yeah.
So yeah, between my live stream and my podcast, I'm gonna be doing that. And as soon as the 1st of April is when
Cool.
it's actually jumping off.
Right on.
10:30 p.m. Central Time.
All right.
Tank Hank. Okay.
Right on. I appreciate that. And Didi, where can people find you? What do you got going on that I'd like you to shout out for yourself here?
Well, for the past, I think 3 months, I've been filling in on the Aquatic Morning Show on Mainstays, Fur and Fins. Once Rocco went out for his surgery, and it's before Christmas, and I'm still helping right now. But this coming week, I'm going to actually be in charge. Jess is going to be out, so.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to need some help, but I've been learning to do that. Now, my channel isn't, I don't stream on my own. I haven't yet, but I will be doing a stream before too long because I've been putting out videos with instructions for comments. And then that's going to be qualifying people for some giveaways based on my subscribers.
Oh, cool.
So I've tried to start doing that, but trying to help Jess, I have not delved into it as much as I should have. I kind of let mine go aside when we did the Color Guppies auction.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't want to be doing, everybody was already doing so much. So
Understandable.
I kind of got to get back into my little channel, but mine is basically sharing my little whatever breeds around here. And like a baby shrimp is like, oh my God, I've got to goo goo gaga over it for about 3 hours to see a baby shrimp, but that's the kind of stuff that I do because I'm kind of basic and I'm learning these plant things. And I would love to be able one day to be able to share plants with people people, just like they have done with me.
Yeah. And that's what it's all about. Yeah.
I would like to do that. Now, I was with Shanna and Jess on Ladies' Night, but that's taken a hiatus for probably the summer.
Yeah.
Maybe. And I may be showing up somewhere else pretty soon at nights. I just can't say yet.
Okay.
As a temporary or permanent thing, we're not sure yet.
Okay. But, we'll keep posting.
I'm a support person. I'm not an organizer doer thing. I like just popping in and support.
Well, you can clearly you'll be able to do that with whenever you want to, if you want to organize your own thing. you got that charisma, you got that ability and everything. So I'll be staying tuned for when you're ready to do your own show too.
Yes, most
Well,
definitely.
I've got to do one to do a giveaway, so I've got to do one.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool. Well, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I want to really thank everybody for the super chats and for the lurkers, the replay crew, the mods, everybody. I mean, we can't do any of this without every element in this community. And, you know, I really do truly appreciate everybody who's a part of this community. So thank you. And thank you so much to my guests. Wait, can I point this way? uh, and I always like to let the folks on the show have the last word. So I guess we'll do Didi first and then Hank this time. So let's what do you want to leave us with today? Whatever, it can be profound, it can be goodbye, it doesn't matter. So
Love each other and help each other. That's it. If you do that, you're good.
all right. So Mr. Big Tank Hank podcasts himself.
I'm just riding on that. There's always somebody going through something. Be less critical and look at yourself first. And we all look, life will be a whole lot better for everybody.
Yeah.
Right on. Thank you guys so much. Have a good night, everybody.